Back, friends, to another book review. Just Us San Diego Realty, Just Us 619. This is Jude Stephen narrating the summary. Today we're going to be reviewing The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. Obstacle is the Way is built around a core Stoic principle from Marcus Aurelius. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Holiday argues the obstacles are not interruptions to success. They are the path to success. The book is divided into three major disciplines: perception, action, will. Holiday opens the story about a king who places a huge boulder in the road. Everyone complains about it, but one peasant pushes it aside and discovers treasure underneath. The lesson: most people avoid obstacles, but successful people use them as opportunities. We always have to pay attention to the opportunities in front of us because they're not going to be there forever. So you have to grasp and go after it when it's present. Main idea: problems are not barriers. They're obstacles for they're opportunities for growth, innovation, and transformation. First section, perception. This section explains that the biggest enemy is often not the obstacle itself, but how we interpret it. Chapter 1, The Discipline of Perception. Holiday introduces Rockefeller as an example of calm under pressure. During financial panics and the market crashes, Rockefeller stayed rational while others panicked. Instead of fearing crisis, he treated them as opportunities to buy undervalued assets. Lesson: your perspective determines whether an obstacle destroys you or strengthens you. Control emotions, stay objective, see reality clearly. Chapter 2, Recognize Your Power. Holiday discusses boxer Rubin Carter, who was originally imprisoned for murder. Instead of becoming bitter, Carter used prison to educate himself and strengthen his mind. He refused to let prison define him psychologically. The lesson: you may not control events, but you always control your response. No one can force you to surrender your inner freedom. Chapter 3, Steady Your Nerves. Holiday explains leaders and soldiers remain calm during chaos. Ulysses S. Grant stayed composed during the battle, while others panicked. His emotional stability made him effective. Lesson: panic clouds judgment. Calmness creates power. Train yourself not to overreact emotionally. Try to, what I do my personally is I've tried to, in a situation when something occurs, not to immediately react, to think to myself. Of course, it's easier said than done, but practicing helps out. But thinking to yourself whether your response to an action will be a positive effect or a negative effect, or whether it have any good effect at all, or if it's just for your own self-satisfaction that, hey, I got to say what I wanted to say. I try to do that before I react to a situation where I feel irritated in most cases. And a lot of times when I do this process and I think, what's the purpose of it? I realize that it's only so that I can say that, hey, I got to say what I wanted to say. And usually the outcome is not a positive one because the other person is irritated or frustrated and it makes the situation worse. Moving on. So you must separate facts from fear. Chapter 5. Oh, Chapter 4. Control your emotions. Emotional discipline is critical. Astronauts are trained to avoid emotional reactions during emergencies. They rely on systems, procedure, and calm thinking. Lesson: emotional reactions make problems worse in most cases. Main point: you must separate facts from fear. Chapter 5: Think differently. Holiday encourages readers to avoid assumptions and exaggeration. People often turn minor setbacks into imagined catastrophes. Lesson: most suffering comes from interpretation, not reality. Observe objectively rather than dramatizing. Chapter 6: Alter your perspective. Holiday argues that obstacles often look different when viewed from another angle. A failure may become valuable experience later. Lesson: perspective changes everything. Ask, what can this teach me? How can this help me grow? Chapter 7: Is it up to you? This chapter is based on core Stoic idea: focus only on what you control. You cannot control competitors, weather, politics, or luck. Only your own effort and attitude. Lesson: energy wasted on uncontrollable things weakens action. Focus on your effort, your mindset, your choices. Ignore the rest. Chapter 8: Live in the present moment. This chapter explains the fear usually comes from imagining the future. Lesson: handle what is directly in front of you. Don't fight imaginary future disasters. Chapter 9: Think strategically. Obstacles require creativity. Great generals often won battles indirectly instead of through brute force. Sometimes the obstacle itself reveals the solution. Adaptability beats force. Chapter 10: Find opportunity. This chapter argues every obstacle contains hidden benefits. For example, failures provide feedback and learning opportunities. Problems often reveal strengths you don't know you had. Chapter 11: Prepare to act. This chapter transitions from mindset into execution. Correct perception must lead to action. Seeing clearly is useless unless you move decisively. Next section: action. In this chapter, Demothenesis is introduced. I may have pronounced that incorrectly, but bear with me. Demothenesis had a speech impediment and weak health. He trained obsessively, speaking with pebbles in his mouth and practicing against ocean waves until he became one of Greek's greatest speakers. Action overcomes weakness. Persistence beats talent. Chapter 13: Get moving. Women faced enormous barriers in aviation, but Earhart took whatever opportunities she could find, even unpaid ones, to build momentum. Small opportunities lead to bigger ones. Start before conditions are perfect. This also applies to investments. Chapter 14: Practice persistence. Holidays highlights persistence through figures like Edison and Grant. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing a workable light bulb. Success often comes after repeated failure. Persistence compounds over time, similar to investments. Chapter 15: Iterate. Failure is feedback. Silicon Valley entrepreneurs improve products through repeated experimentation and failure. Each mistake teaches something valuable. Don't fear adjustment and revision. Chapter 16, do your job. Do your job. This chapter stresses mastery of ordinary tasks. Successful people focus intensely on basic responsibilities instead of chasing glory. Lesson in this chapter, excellence in small things creates excellence in big things. Chapter 17, what's right is what works. This chapter challenges ego. Many successful accepted humble beginnings and unpleasant work. Oh, I have. Lesson, pride often blocks progress. Do what works, not what flatters your ego. Chapter 18, use obstacles against themselves. Holiday discusses unconventional strategy. Some leaders use opponents' aggression against them, kind of like judo. Lesson or Tai Chi. Flexibility and strategy outperform force. Chapter 19, challenge your energy. Negative emotions can become productive fuel. Anger and frustration can motivate discipline, action, if controlled properly. Let me say that again. Anger and frustration can motivate disciplined action if controlled properly. Redirect energy instead of suppressing it in a positive way. Chapter 20, seize the offensive. Holiday emphasizes initiative. Gandhi used nonviolent resistance strategically to force British Empire forces into difficult positions. You don't always need direct confrontation to win. Chapter 21, prepare for none of it to work. This is a good one. Expect setbacks. Failure is normal and unavoidable. Resilience comes from expecting difficulty. Know everything's not going to be perfect, but staying persistent and doing what you can towards your goal can make enormous progress. Chapter 22, Love the Struggle. Holiday introduces the Stoic concept of embracing hardship. Athletes deliberately seek discomfort in training because struggle builds strength. Difficulty builds character. Chapter 23, Finish Strong. Persistence matters most near the end. Many people quit right before a breakthrough occurs. Main point, stay disciplined until completion. Follow through. This is one of my struggles earlier on in my life, and even in sometimes today, is I do like 95% of the work, but that last 5% or 10%, I just don't follow through, and then I never complete it. For example, wanted to go surfing. Wanted to, I just enjoyed the thought of surfing. Got my board, worked for a surf company, got all the supplies, my wetsuit, board holders and everything, whatever, wax, scrapers, cleaners, the whole 90%, but I never got out to the water. And so key is to just jump in. Hesitation kills dreams. That's what I always say. I try to emphasize is don't hesitate. If you feel like you want to do something, go do it. You might make a mistake, but at least you did something, you learned, and you're going to grow from it. But if you hesitate, you're going to shrink in multiple ways. Part 3, next section, will. W-I-L-L. This section explains how to endure hardships you cannot immediately fix. Chapter 24, The Discipline of the Will. Holliday uses Abraham Lincoln as an example, who experienced repeated failures, depression, and personal tragedy before leading America through the Civil War. Lesson: suffering can deepen wisdom and strength. Chapter 25, Build Inner Strength. Holliday discusses Theodore Roosevelt. Roosevelt was physically weak as a child, but transformed himself through discipline, training, and determination. Inner strength can be developed deliberately. You have to be intentional in your actions. And it could work. Chapter 26, Anticipate Problems. This chapter explains the Stoic exercise of premeditatio malorum, imagining difficulties ahead of time. Military leaders prepare for worst-case scenarios before battle. Preparation reduces fear. Expect obstacles instead of being shocked by them. When you're prepared, you react a little bit more fluidly in certain situations, even if they're not exactly what you anticipated. Practice makes perfect is a great term. Chapter 27, Accept What You Cannot Change. This chapter explores amor fati, love of fate. Don't merely tolerate hardship, embrace it as a necessary for growth. Every experience contributes to who you become. Kobe took on the persona of Black Mamba after going through some difficulties and used the negative energy, anger and fear in a positive way to excel him into greatness. Chapter 29, Persevere. Holliday argues modern people often quit too quickly. Historical figures endured years of hardships before success. Perseverance is rare and powerful. Chapter 30, Something Bigger Than Yourself. Having the purpose beyond personal comfort creates resilience. Leaders who serve a larger mission endure more hardship. Purpose strengthens endurance. Chapter 31, Meditate on Mortality. Inspired by Stoic reflections on death. Life is short, so action matters now. Urgency creates clarity. Chapter 32, Prepare for the Final Challenge. Holliday emphasizes lifelong resilience. Obstacles never disappear permanently. The process of overcoming never ends. Holliday concludes that obstacles, A, build character, B, reveal creativity, C, strengthen discipline, and D, ultimately become advantages. Core message is simple. The obstacle is not the way. The obstacle is the way. Let me repeat that. The obstacle is not in the way. The obstacle is the way. Some major themes of the book: perception, see objectives, obstacles clearly and objectively. Action, respond with disciplined effort. Will, endure what cannot be controlled. Stoicism, focus on what you can control. Resilience, hardship develops strength and adaptability. Flexibility beats force. Remember, you cannot control events. You can control your perception, actions, and will. Obstacles are unavoidable. Success comes from transforming adversity into advantage. This book is about motivation, less and more about mental discipline, learning to remain calm, adaptable, persistent, and resilient regardless of circumstance will help you excel in life and progress and grow in the direction you want. Thank you again and have a great day. Till next time, it's just a San Diego Realty with another book review.